All right, so this video will be part one of shooting. So I'm going to break down how you can show your players or individually or your child or yourself how to learn how to shoot. We grab a chair and we ask the player to sit at the edge of the chair. Okay. And then we'll have them line up their right ankle and their right knee. Excellent. Then we'll ask them to hold the ball up in shooting position. So what we're looking for, can you move the chair over a little bit? That way. Good. Not too much. Too much. Good, right there, yeah. Good, because I want to make sure it's right in line in the middle here. So what we're looking for is a couple things. First, we want the feet shoulder width apart. So maybe have your feet slightly more together. Good. We want the shooting foot, the shooting arm, with the shooting foot to be slightly ahead of the other foot. Not too much, but yeah, slightly ahead. We want to make a straight line from the feet, knees, hips, shooting elbow, and wrist. Excellent, to be a straight line. We'll start off first without a ball. Without a balance hand. Also, one of the other things that come into play, and it's hard to see on this video, and I'm hoping you guys can see it, but because she's wearing a sweater, is that opposite shoulder. A lot of players want to bring that opposite shoulder back. What we want is we want the distance from both shoulders to be the same. So the key word I like to use is shoulder square. And for a beginner, we want there to be a slight gap between the ball and the palm of her hand. We want the fingers spread out, and we want the wrist pointing forward. Some players have very big difficulty with flexibility on the wrist. Tatiana, point the wrist to over here. Yeah. A lot of players have that issue. It's just something, and you have to be careful because if you try to stretch that area out, if you put too much stress, if you put too much stress on your wrist trying to get it more flexible, you can damage and cause pain to that wrist. But we do want you to try to concentrate and focus on making sure that that wrist turns forward. This will be done in time, but it does take some time. Now, if you notice she got fatigued there, we usually have the players do this for 3 to 4 or 5 minutes, depending on how long they can handle, intervals at the beginning. Again, we're trying to build muscle memory. So we're reminding elbow under the ball, alignment of feet, knees, hips, elbow, and wrist. And we want to be able to, if we're watching her, we want to be able to see the dominant eye, which I call, and in shooting, the dominant eye is the opposite eye from where she shoots from. So in her case here, it'll be her left eye. The reason why I don't want the ball to be in front of her face is because now she becomes blinded. And when you become blinded when you're shooting, your brain, when the ball gets during your shooting motion, instead of your brain thinking about just the form of the shot, as soon as the ball gets out of the eye in the middle of the shot, the brain has to recalculate all the information. Distance away, how quick the defender is, how tall the defender is, how tired they are. So many different pieces of information that the brain has to. Whereas if she has her dominant eye always looking at the ball, that information is already locked in. And this will help with just the flow of the shot and not overthinking. This takes time. But again, feet shoulder width apart, feet shooting foot slightly forward than the non-shooting foot. Feet, knees, hips, elbows, straight line, shoulders square, wrist pointing forward. Stop. Good. Enrique, in there now, please. Tatiana out. So once they get comfortable after, some time without a balance hand, now we're going to throw in the balance hand. So feet shoulder width apart. Good. Need to see the balance eye. Balance hand should be perpendicular to shooting hand. So imagine that there's a box around the ball. The shooting hand is right in the middle of the bottom of the box. The balance hand should be right in the middle at the side of the box. So balance hand a little higher. Good. I don't ball out, ball down, ball. Good. Excellent. Yeah, we can, now, Coach Enrique is wondering why the elbow is so low. Well, when you start your shot, your elbow does come from being low, right? But in the process of gathering a pass, getting into your form and releasing, your elbow, your eye will come up through that. So to start off, we want to be able to have that. Good. Now let's have, without you blocking your dominant eye, elbow up a little bit more. Ball up the side. Good. And now we get them. Now a lot of players will try to look around their hand to be able to see you. So they'll start twisting their head. We don't want that. We want everything to stay straight. So Tatiana, go in there, please. Good. So now you're going to do it with your balance hand. Balance hand higher. Excellent. Now, once they've passed this phase, then the next phase we go into. Now, these phases here can last days. Usually, I don't get them to do a balance hand until I know that they can automatically go to their form with the chair and the elbows and the wrist and the knees and everything without me having to remind them about anything. So, and that takes time. But once they get past that, and the same thing with the balance hand. A lot of times players, let's move the ball in front of your face and let's see and elbow out. That's what we want to avoid. A lot of players will either try to look around the ball, which we don't want. They'll try to put the ball down in front of it. Because as soon as they put the ball down in front of their face and their elbow out, it now becomes a two-hand shot. And we do not want a two-hand shot. We want a one-hand release. Excellent. All right, Tatiana and Enrique switch and bring the chair out to the white line now. So once they've done a day of that, and they practice at home, 10, 15 minutes at a time, watching TV while they hold this, now we can get into what we call the release of the shot. So Enrique, one hand only. All right. So when you feel that they're ready to go, parent, teammate, other coach, you can then just say, okay, release. So they'll stand up, and their knees and arms will hopefully lock at the same time. Now we want to pick a spot. So what we want to tell them is we want to put a nice high arc on the ball, we want a nice backspin on the ball, and we want the ball to land somewhere on our target. And I'm going to ask him to have the target the white and blue and green line in front of him. So now the biggest thing people will do when they have to stand up is that they'll bring up their elbow and they'll move the ball in front of their face. So some players, because their legs are longer, a regular chair is actually too low, because there is such a thing as going too low on your shot. So these chairs are hard to stack, but there are some chairs where you can stack, and that makes it easier for them. If you do have that luxury, great. If not, you might have to go right into this drill we're doing into standing position instead of sitting. But hopefully we can find something that they can sit where they're almost 90 degrees, so when they stand up, it's not an awkward movement that's too difficult for them. Let's try that with this, Enrique, because you're strong on your legs. Hopefully that'll help. So one hand only. Go. So the reason why I really like them doing this on a line with their feet and hips and shoulders and knees, everything lined up on that line, is that when they release, if that ball doesn't land on that line at their target spot, then something went wrong. They twisted, their opposite shoulder went back, their elbow went out, so many different things. So the nice thing is that line doesn't lie. All right, Tatiana, let's go. So they do that for a while. And then after a while of them doing that, now we can add a balance hand with the same thing. We ask them to line up, we check everything, head straight, elbow in, shoulder square, and then we say if we're happy, we say go. They stand up, release. Now, a couple of other things that I didn't mention. Number one, we want them to land at the end of the shot with their follow-through held. So I want you to hold your follow-through. The second thing that I noticed there is that at the top of your shot, at the end of it, when you shot, your fingers were together. I would like them spread out with your fingers pointing down low, holding your follow-through. Let's try that. Do not let go of the follow-through until I say you can let go of it. Ready? Go. Okay, keep that hand up there. I didn't say move. Keep that hand up there, fingers spread out. Excellent. The nice thing about it is if you hold your follow through and you notice that the ball didn't land straight, you can do a quick check to see what went wrong in your follow through. All right, so Enrique, go there please without the chair. Once they've done that well with the chair, now we can start their process of without a chair. So now it's one hand, butt down, feet shoulder width apart, all the checks, the shoulder square, elbow in, butt down a little bit more, ready, go. They let go, follow through, hold it, there you go. Tatiana. Again, one hand, feet shoulder width apart, shoulder square, shooting foot slightly forward, elbow in, ready, hold the follow through, go. Fingers spread out a little bit more. Good, excellent. If they rush things and miss one of these steps, we will not be able to create muscle memory. I tell my players that in any skill that you want to learn, there's X amount of repetition for you to do to learn that skill. Everyone's X amount of repetition is different. For shooting form, it could be, somewhere like 59,700 for one person. For another person, it could be 48,200. Everyone is different. But if they reach their X amount of repetitions with proper form, once they've reached that, they'll never forget it. I've seen, a lot of amazing men and women, in their 40s and 50s, and they shoot so well. And you can tell that, one, they learned how to shoot properly, but two, they've done it for so long that it's just never leaving them. It's just always going to be there. All right, so Tatiana, who was it last? So, Enrique? So now, Enrique, you're going to do it with the balance hand. Butt down, ball out, butt down. Need to see your balance eye. Need to see your dominant eye. I can't see it yet.
I can see you.
Ready, go. Release. Should land right on the line. Backspin. Those are the things you're correcting. If the backspin isn't good, You need to correct it by making sure that the ball, sometimes they'll shoot and the ball will land too close to them. That means with a lot of backspin, that means that the ball fell off the hand too quickly, and it compensated by doing a little bit extra oomph at the end and making the fingers flip the ball quicker. So there's a lot of things that when errors happen, if you have a good foundation, you can tell what went wrong with it. Okay, so that's good. We'll do part 2 in the next video.